Hey everyone, this is Mama at American Family Now. Tonight I'm going to interview Papa as he shares about his music equipment. We make it a priority to pursue hobbies, personal hobbies in our small home, and make sure that there is space and power enough to make those hobbies happen. Hey there, Papa. Tell us, what do you have for music equipment?
What we have is we have a guitar, an electric guitar. I have an acoustic guitar and I have a bass guitar. I also have a bunch of other types of instruments too, but they're not in here and I don't play them very often. Before we moved here, I had a large PA system, I had small recording set up, I had guitar amps, I had, I don't know, like 5 electric guitars, a couple bass guitars, violin, I had a bunch of stuff. When we moved here, we had a lot of it in storage and we needed to oust it because I don't use it all and it's just taking up storage space and it could be money in my pocket to go to something else. So what I did is I sold the vast majority of everything. I kept one electric guitar, I kept my bass, and I kept an acoustic guitar, which is also a souvenir we got from Ireland, so paid pretty good money for it, and honeymoon souvenir, I kind of wanted to keep it. And what I did is I purchased a better recording module, and I am not a big proponent of a computer recording system. A lot of people like the Fruity Loops or whatever they buy, you know, GarageBand or whatever. I'm not a big fan of computer-based recording. I like to have my recording unit separate. Something that I like to record on SD cards. I like that big, just, you gotta feel it type thing. I don't like digital displays and all that crap. I also have a Line 6 Pod X3, which is, I don't know, I think that I had the 2nd generation Line 6, and then this is the 3rd generation. They have a couple more out now that I don't have $500 to spend on them right now. But what this does is it has probably about 100 different amps for guitar and 50 for bass, and then it's got a bunch of different things you can use for vocal effects. I can run my mic into it, I can run my guitar, I can run my bass, I can do 2 separate effects simultaneously. So I can run my guitar through a bunch of different effects and my vocal through a bunch of different effects. It's almost like 2 processors in one. So it's really good for doing solo shows and all that stuff. It sounds great. Muse has used this thing on a lot of their albums. They use it in their live performances. It's just a good quality piece.
When you're using music equipment in a small space, it would also help because instead of having multiple effects units, you just have one that does all of those things.
I do not like guitar foot pedals. I hate guitar foot pedals. I hate carrying around guitar amps. And the great thing about one of these things is because it has an amp emulator, or many amp emulators in it, you can plug your headphones into it and really get the same exact sound, or very close to the same sound you would get going through an amp, except you've only got $20 headphones on your head instead of, you know, $1,000 in an amp. We also have this little SoundPex thing we picked up for $60 or $40 or something like that at Sears. And this is a great little unit because it has 2 RCA inputs. You can put an SD card in it. It's got a tuner built into it. It runs off from 12 volt DC or 110 volt AC. And so if I want to power myself up as if I'm going to play through a monitor system or something, that works really well. And I have a condenser mic that I purchased, an AKG, which is not high quality, but you know, it's a $200 mic. And I run that into my Line 6. It does need phantom power, and unfortunately the Line 6 does not have phantom power, so I bought a little Behringer phantom power box here. So I've got a full recording set up. I have done some recording. I hope to be making at least a 10-song album here in the next year or so. It'd be nice to have something online. I have done a lot of recording. I've probably got 80 songs that I've written. I've recorded 35, something like that. But nothing that I've really spent a lot of time trying to produce. But it's a little setup. I can get pretty good sound out of everything. I also downloaded some drum machines on my Android smartphone. I also have a Fruity Loops program in here, which has got, actually I have Caustic too, and I've got Fruity Loops.
Now these sounds that you make here, can you add them into the recorder?
Yes. So if I wanted to put down some
after?
drum tracks or some synthesizer tracks or something like that, I could put them down, create them in my Fruity Loops program or my Caustic program, and then play them directly onto my recorder here, and then play the live sounds, whether I'm doing some bass or electric guitar and vocals or whatever it is that I want to do. I can put those on top of the Fruity Loops or Caustic tracks. I kind of prefer Caustic. They have a lot more sounds to them, and it's a little bit easier program to deal with, a little bit more versatile.
So, how did you come to making this box for storage? What inspired you to do that? You've tried a couple of different storage units.
I've made stands to hold my guitar processing stuff but it gets knocked over, or it doesn't get knocked over, but it could get knocked over. It's been knocked into things with kids. It takes up a lot more room. And I went down and I spent $10 worth of wood to get a box made up, and just brought it to work and made a couple little shelves. It's pretty hideous looking.
Very basic.
Very basic. I'm all about just practical. This is my drool catcher, so when the kids are drooling over stuff, it doesn't drool on my equipment. Also keeps the dust and stuff off from it. So I can do anything. I can record anything I want.
And how much power does this take when you're running everything?
It takes about 25 watts. Right about 25 watts if I'm using headphones.
For the person who does not understand electricity, how much would that be the equivalent of if you're running something else of common use, other equipment?
I have no idea. Well, I'm not running a big amp, and the big amps are going to cost you about 180, 200 watts or so for a smaller amp.
Okay.
A guitar amp,
right.
2-speaker one. Like I think my 100-watt amp is about 200 watts. So it puts out 100 watts of sound maxed out, but it's 200 watts to run it, which I can run, and I have run here. But what's the point? I got a nice little monitor speaker here that works. I got headphones that work.
And since we live off-grid, having something that is conservative in power use is definitely important.
Correct. I know this thing takes like 18 watts. I'm not sure exactly how many this thing. I think this is like 5 watts or something like that. I can also run it for about 6 hours off from 6 AA batteries.
Not bad.
And this also has a bunch of processing power in it. It's got amps in there. It's you can get your guitar effects on this. You got vocal effects on it, but they're not nearly as good as the Line 6. The Line 6 is far superior. But the recording quality on the 16 track here is pretty decent. It's above CD quality anyways.
Mm-hmm. So the takeaway from all of this would be that if you're living in a small home, you do not have to sacrifice musical hobbies. You can still make it work. Do you have anything to add for ideas or encouragement or anything for someone who might be considering to move
I used to have a drum set and
a
big sound system and lots of sound.
Was it hard for you to sacrifice those things?
Not at all. Not at all. I like the simple life better. And I've got all I need. Well, sometimes I do think it'd be nice to have a live snare drum and kick drum, but don't really need it.
Yeah. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to ask if we haven't answered anything you would like to know about regarding the musical setup that Papa has. Otherwise, we'll see you again soon.